Hello, everyone, and welcome to our listeners and our viewers. This is Radio Entrepreneurs. I am your host today, Phil Sharkey of my company, The Higher Authority, and I have the great pleasure to speak this morning with Shellee Howard. Shellee is the founder and CEO of College Ready. And Shellee, as we were just speaking off air, you have a very interesting line of work. As I just had a daughter graduate from college myself, and we put a lot of prep work into sort of identifying the right school for the cost. We're in the Boston area. She went to Philadelphia, and very important to us to get all the awards we could and to make sure she graduated in 4 years. So I think your industry is extremely important today, much so more than when I went to school way back in the early days of life. But tell me, Shellee, tell me about your company. What is College Ready, and what does your business perform?
Well, thank you, Phil, for having me on this show. It is my pleasure to share. My story actually is probably similar to a lot of families in that I was in the financial place of I made too much money, but I didn't make enough money. I hear it every single day. And I did something about it. That is why my children have been able to graduate debt free. But College Ready was actually started 17 years ago when my oldest came home from middle school and super excited, Mom, I know exactly what I want to do. And I'm like, wow, because I changed my major 5 times. Like, help me understand. And he says, yeah, I want to be a brain surgeon. I want to go to one of those Ivy League schools. Can you help me? And it was so sweet and so
Yeah.
innocent. And I'm so grateful that he came to me because it gave us a runway to really impact what that would look like. So, without going into all of the details of those 4 years, I can just state that I went back to school. That's how crazy of a parent I was. And I became an independent certified college consultant. And then I started touring 25 colleges a month, or sorry, a semester. And then when he graduated, he had 7 full ride offers, went to Harvard pre-med for free. So he was my first.
Outstanding. Outstanding, Shelley. That's such a huge statement of how important your line of work is. And in my work, we do pre-employment background screening. I constantly see credit reports of young people getting out of college. And I used to see debt 50, 70,000. Shelley, I constantly see people with 150, 200, $225,000 in student loan debt. And I don't know how they're going to survive in today's world. So it seems like vitally important to bring on someone like yourself. So tell me the process. How does it go to fruition? How do people work with you?
So the important thing is every student needs to have their own unique path. Parents, if you think about your own children, if you have more than one, you know they're not identical. So there's no one way of going about it. But what I did, this is the seventh business I have started, and it really came from, like the other ones, a huge problem. And I needed the solution because even if my son did get into an Ivy League, I knew that paying 65,000 a year would strangle our family. And that was 17 years ago. And
Sure.
now, we're up into almost, I think the most expensive college right now is 98,000. That would be NYU.
Okay.
That's per year. So as you think about sending your kids off to their future with $400,000 of debt, that terrified me. And I've always believed that if you don't get a return on investment of something, you probably shouldn't be doing it. And so I went in with that mindset. So how we do it, to answer your question, Phil, is we work in 3 different buckets. The first bucket is we help the student be the very best they could be, because isn't that really our job as parents, is to prepare them for life. So we're helping them understand their core values, their gifts, their talents, their advocacy, what makes them special, why were they put on this earth? And then we nurture that and we build that and we grow that. Then the middle bucket is we're trying to figure out, what do they want for their future? Is money important? Is serving their community important? What's important to them? And then we help them find the best academic, social, and financial fit university. Then the third bucket, which most people don't realize, is the family financial house. The FAFSA looks at the second semester of the sophomore year and the first semester of the junior year. So families who are waiting until to get started planning for college until their junior year have lost the window of opportunity to get their financial house in order. I am not a financial advisor. I do not sell a financial product. I know what it takes to do this, but I'm not here to sell any of that. I'm here to educate. So all three of those buckets equal college without debt.
Sure. And Shellee, when you identified some time frames, when is it best for someone to reach out to you, the age of the child? Is it the sophomore year in high school, junior year? Is that already getting too late? How early or when's the ideal time to start this process?
The ideal time is when your student is mature enough to have a conversation about their future. And that's really different, as you know, parents. I would say if we had to put like an average on there, it would be when they promote from eighth grade, because that's when the clock starts ticking as what colleges are going to count. That would be like ultimately, but we do start students as young as seventh grade that are more mature than
Sure.
seniors. And
Sure.
we do start people their senior year. So it's really the window of opportunity is from middle school to high school. The best time is eighth grade through 11th grade. If you want scholarships, the sooner the better. The
Yeah.
longer the runway, right? It's like preparing for retirement when you're 80. Probably need a little bit more time. Same type of thing.
Yes, and tell me about logistics. Can you work coast to coast? I would assume. I know I'm reaching you on the West Coast. You mentioned your children have gone to NYU. Is there anything out of your reach as far as geographical locations?
Absolutely not. So we have consultants all over the United States, and we just opened up our second division called University Ready because my fourth child decided to go and study international business in the Czech Republic of Prague. So just like my first one brought me a really big idea, the second one said, "Mom, I can get in and out of college with a dual US European degree for $27,000 in total and travel on the weekends." So, for those of you who have a non-traditional student, I highly encourage you to look at what Europe offers our students.
It makes so much sense. And again, Shellee, as I see in my industry, college has been one of the few industries that has almost never stopped peaking as far as tuition. And it seems like you really have to be proactive today and not to scare people regarding the process, but as you mentioned, the long runway and trying to do as much as you can to make sure you identify the best place. As you mentioned, when I was in school, you people would jump around from major to major, four, five, six majors. Now it seems to be really important, and I know it puts more pressure on everyone in this game, but to really identify what's best for your child to move through and have the most success that the whole family can have.
Absolutely. And it's really the best thing you can do for your child. The first thing we do is we start with who they are and what matters to them. Wouldn't that be nice to know when you're 18 versus figuring it out after your third job?
Yeah.
So I tell families, I know it feels like there's more pressure, but at the same time, there's more support. If you look at it in a very positive way, none of my children changed their major. That's a huge savings. It's $100,000 every time a student transfers to a different university. So we're actually saving them time and money and a lot of frustration. And we have a plan A and a B and a C because we do know that they are going to change, but at least they have some focus and direction. Because when you're young and somebody says, "What do you want to do?" and you're like, "I don't know," that doesn't feel very good. And so it gives them confidence that, you know what, I'm going to do this, or this. And it's a good place to be.
Yeah, Shelly, it's really cost effective. And I know when I did bring in a professional in to work with my family, a lot of my people would push back and say, well, that's an expense, isn't it? And did you just chronicled $100,000 to change schools if you end up going an extra semester, an extra year because you've been, unsure? It really is a cost prohibitive decision, isn't it?
Yes, and the hard part is there it's not like it used to be. So this generation has parents that, graduated at least 20 years ago, and it has changed substantially. I love to show parents what it takes to get into their alma mater, and they're like, there's no way I could have gotten in there. And it is that crazy of a difference. So, parents, if you think it's anything like it used to be, it's not the cost, it's not the competitiveness. It's everybody goes to college now. Very few people start in community college. And so it's important to realize it's just a different game that they're playing.
And Shelly, tell me, your bio is so impressive with what you've done with your children and for your children and some of the points you've touched on. What sets your business apart, would you say, from others who offer like similar type of services? It seems like you're very accomplished. Is there a staff that they would deal with as well? Tell me about your business and why you're so successful.
So, College Ready stems from something very unique, and that is we're focused on helping your child be the very best they can be. Most consulting firms focus on where does your child want to go to college? So they're trying to fit a student into a college. We're
Right.
we're doing it reverse engineering. We start with what is the career? What is the college? What is the major? What is the student going to want to do and to be successful? At the same time, we're helping the family understand, is your family set up to lower your student aid index, to increase your scholarships? So ultimately, it's the trifecta win, and your family is prepared for their future without lots of arguing and fighting because we come in and we mentor and support both parents and students.
Excellent. Shelly, is there a certain, I know each child is unique, but is there a certain amount of schools that you see that they trend? I know my daughter was in musical theater, so it required a large window of auditions in schools to seek out. Is there a certain number that you see, and is it dependent on the career choice, or what do you see in that category?
Yeah, your daughter took the hard way. Well done, Dad. That's a hard path to plow right there.
Yeah.
It does matter a lot. If a student wants to go into business, there are it's a lot easier than somebody who wants to go in with a sport or an instrument or performance because you really are applying two times when you have a specialty. You apply as an academia, and then you also have to get recognized in your gift. And so it does matter. But I will tell you, the reason why the number of schools has increased back 17 years ago, the average student applied to 9 schools.
Okay.
Now the average student applies to 12, and that is if they don't have a sport or an instrument or theater. Now, what's happened is so many students are freaking out and parents are stressing out that they're really doing a shotgun approach and they're hitting somewhere between 20 and 30 schools. And that is part of the problem why schools are overwhelmed with the number of applicants and it's so competitive. I had a student this year. I found out she applied to every University of California school. And I asked her why. That wasn't part of our plan. And she goes, because my sister didn't get into one of them. She wanted total bragging rights that she got into every one of them. So, and she did. And I give her credit for that. But it's for that reason the number of applicants have gone up, which has made it more competitive, which has
Well,
made it where more students are applying to more schools. On average, our students apply to 12, get into at least 9. That is what our average looks like. So for us, we're very strategic about reach, comfort, safety,
yeah.
about very generous, about not so generous. We do financial negotiations, reconsiderations. So we're looking at it as a business, and that's a very unique way of doing it. And that's where College Ready really stands out.
Those are great odds right there and seems well worth the investment for a parent to seek you out. I want to remind everyone we've been speaking with Shellee Howard, who's the founder and CEO of College Ready. Shellee, if our listeners were looking to get in touch with you, how would they go about that?
Well, for your listeners, they can go to collegereadyplan.info and set up 30 minutes of free consultation with myself. So, any of your listeners, that's a bonus for listening to your show. A second thing is, I just released my second best-selling book, The College Admissions Plan Simplified, and I put it at 99 cents for a week for your listeners to go and capture that book. So those two gifts are for your listeners. And if you go to my website, collegereadyplan.com, you can see our statistics, you can see our team, you can see our success.
Well, Shellee, those are great offers, and that's an outstanding opportunity for our listeners here. I want to thank you for being on the show, and I hope you would consider coming back again sometime to give us some future updates as to how things are going in your industry.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time, and listeners. It is possible. Please stay positive. Your students need you.
Outstanding, Shellee. We'll be back with more stories on Radio Entrepreneurs.